Hi guys, welcome to the 2X eCommerce podcast show. This is a podcast dedicated to rapid growth in online retail. Now, today's guest, I have been following Nick Shackelford for about, I've just said his name, for about 3 years, I think. And he was him along with Deepesh, along with Tim Bird. Those are like three major names that come up in my Facebook advertising journey. When I first started 3.5 years ago, I've had a background in other things in digital marketing, but when these guys started to show the potential of Facebook advertising and what they had done, I stopped looking at it from a secondary level and started to really focus on the results. And I've been just following him. He's run courses on iStack, if you're aware of that platform. He just recently did one for Founder. One of the banners I shared in the Facebook group, had the Founder, banner for what he's done. He spent over $80 million in ad spend. He's worked for the corporates from Apple, and now he's been focused on direct to consumer for a few years now. Yeah. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on, Nick. Welcome.
Man, what an introduction. You mentioned those two names, and it's funny because not many people know this, but I worked for Tim.
Before we kick off today's show, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Did you know that cloud-hosted e-commerce platforms like Shopify and BigCommerce do not provide automatic backups? Rewind steps in to protect Shopify and BigCommerce stores with automatic backups. Rewind is trusted by over 25,000 stores. Install Rewind and get to test it for free over 7 days. And to extend the 7-day trial to 30 days, head over to rewind.io, their website, and mention 2X eCommerce.
That's where I got a lot of my wings from it, because I would say I've been doing this for about 6.5 years, and the following and the respect in the industry for yourself is very mutual, brother. Kuno, you are a force to be reckoned with, and the reach and the conversations that you have with very, very powerful people. I'm very blessed to be one of the few in here. Like, we have a mutual friend in Josh Snow, right? Josh. Absolute rocket ship. Rocket ship.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about him. He's a member of our Facebook group, and he's doing amazing things. And for you to be part of his ecosystem, Facebook is, last time he was talking, I think it's about 40% of total revenue. And we're talking about, the fact that he has they have retail distribution, and affiliates and the like. So Facebook is a fundamental part of Snow. Yep. And you're heading that, you're managing that. So there's a lot to go through now. So where do we start? Do you want to give a brief introduction? You said you've been in this for like 6 years, and then we'll jump in with brilliant questions.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll clear that up on Josh too. Josh and I now we're just great friends. Now we're just brothers, because you get to a point, and I'll touch on it when we get closer to it. But you mentioned I've been doing this for 6.5 years. In the background, like most of us that find ourselves in performance marketing, don't start there. I actually was playing professional soccer. I signed my dream contract for the Los Angeles Galaxy when I was just out of uni in 2015. So 2013 to 2015.
So you might have missed David Beckham then.
So I had Keane, and I had David did come back just to kind of rally the troops. But I remember my mom was joking. My mom had him always plastered on the refrigerator, like most women do.
Yes.
Plastered on the refrigerator. And she one day I told her, Mom, Beckham's in the arena. He's at the time was Home Depot Center, StubHub Center. And she's like, can you please follow him around? So I'm running around trying to take a picture. Never ended up finding it, but my mom was very thankful that I was able to do that. It cracks me up. But he's
an icon here. He's a national icon. He's a legend.
Absolutely. Yeah. Him, I had Robbie Keane and I had Steven Gerrard. So those two arguably very, very important as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as soon as I transitioned, I think it's sometimes when you grow up, you realize like, okay, this is what I'm going to do for my life. And this is all, this is what I was made out to do. And this is what I was skilled at.
I want to just flesh that soccer bit out because it might reveal a few other things in what you're doing, how you're doing things now. Now, obviously the mainstay, the main sports, from Caribbean, just American culture, baseball, football, basketball,
right.
And American football. So why a choice of soccer? Well, football from our perspective, why?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I'm born and raised in Orange County, California. Mm-hmm. And so in California, where I'm currently at right now, you have many races and you have many opportunities, right? So it's sunny year round. Mm-hmm. My sister, who is 3 years older, she went into soccer specifically. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't play baseball. It was too slow for me. I was just standing there and only one person got to play. You're either batting or you're pitching. Those are the only two dudes that get to play. And I realized, listen, I have an innate ability that's pretty fearless. And I found myself playing soccer because I was able to run into kids, get all this energy out. And my mom kept me there. So as we grew up, I started realizing if you wanted to be on a really good sports team, really good soccer team, specifically in soccer, you needed to have a lot of Hispanics on that team. Mm. Well, at that time, I was newest and I was usually the only white guy on that entire team. And so the only position that the other teammates didn't want to play was goalkeeper. So they put me in the net. So I was always the goalkeeper, and that was the only way I was able to be a starter. Mm. So instead of playing football, instead of playing soccer, or instead of playing basketball or baseball, I found my stride within soccer, pun intended. And that's probably been the best decision I've ever made, because as a goalkeeper, you have two things. You either win it or you lose it. Mm-hmm. All the shoulders, and I make this joke often, but I feel like the Lord has blessed me with such broad shoulders because I've been able to see the field, coach the team, and this has followed me along in all the teams I've been a part of, honestly, where I even am today with my team of 20.
So how do you carry over your learnings from soccer to media buying, to e-commerce and direct-to-consumer commerce?
Absolutely. So right when I left, as soon as I graduated from St. Louis, then I was starting to try to earn a professional contract. I realized very quickly, and this is a coach named Kurt. Kurt was the second team leading coach of the Galaxy. He told me, Shaq, you're a really good locker room guy. And I was like, what? And I didn't really understand what that meant for a very long time. And then I started looking at my history from club ball to early college days, and then right into the professionals. Essentially a locker room guy is someone that could set the tone, keep everybody happy, and push motivation. Okay. That's what a locker room guy is. He might not be the number one starter, but they like him being around because of the energy, because of the camaraderie.
He's like a pacer in a marathon.
Right. And you might not be the number one. And I realized real quick, like, where's your ceiling, right? Mm-hmm. And before I got to Galaxy, I went into a really, really difficult, what would you say, learning experience by you could be a right player on the wrong team. Mm. And I realized, like, oh, okay, at the first university at Cal Berkeley, I was like, I'm very good, but I don't fit into the system. And learning and growing up in a different, whether it's a media buying team, whether it's an agency, whether it's the team that we build currently, if you are a very good player, but you don't work within the system, you're not going to thrive. Like you're not going to do what you set out to do. You're not going to do what they think you're going to do. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I found out very early at the Galaxy that what they needed was not what I was able to provide, but the skills that I had in building a team and building support and confidence in myself was something that I had to take with me.
Team building, straight up. Okay. And I'm going to ask you a question around team structures for like some of the best campaigns you've worked in. And so we'll get into that. So you started out your career in, so after soccer, what happened?
Right away. So it kind of was a chase of finances. So I've been with my old lady for about 10 years now. And we started doing long distance. And I had the opportunity to, as all young professionals, you can go chase contracts. You can go find the team that will sign you. And the only other offer I had was in Minnesota. Brother, I'm a California kid. I love the sun. Like I might be in hoodies all the time, but I love the sun. And so she goes, babe, like you can't go, you can't leave. And if I do leave, there's no longer an us. And so the next opportunity I had was I was coaching anywhere I can get a buck. And one mother, her name was Rachel Pwepke. She was the CMO of consumer products at PepsiCo. So you have Pepsi and you have PepsiCo, right?
Yeah.
In Lake Forest, where I'm at in North California, I was able to sit in the meetings with very, very well-off Pepsi executives that work on, we call it, you have the bottle industry and you have the syrup industry. The syrup is the one that goes to the restaurants. So I was sitting in these conversations talking organic Facebook. I'm 29. I'm a 90s kid truly. And they were listening to the suggestions and the facts that I was dropping about what was happening on social media at the time. I guarantee you that I was sitting in a position where I should not have been, but for whatever reason, the microphone was right in front of me and I was just using it.
Opportunity,
right?
Preparation, exactly. Yeah.
Amen. And at that time, right when I was transitioning out, I had my first dabble, I would say, dipped the toe in of selling goalkeeper gloves to my friends. That was like early Instagram, early influencers, like, hey, can I give you my goalie gloves? I have them right here behind me. And so that gave me interesting perspective of like, oh, things are happening online.
So with the goalie gloves, did you make them yourselves? What was the deal with the goalie gloves?
Yeah, what I found out as soon as I jumped in the industry was Nike, Adidas, Reusch, sells all these like top end latex manufacturers. They were getting it done in Pakistan and they're getting it done. Some are doing it in China, but we were able to find the same exact manufacturer down here, same exact manufacturer, and it's latex thickness, 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter, 4 millimeter, rolled finger, flat finger. And we just like focused, our brand is still called Keep Air. We were focused on how do we get this product as efficient as possible. And the sewing ability in Pakistan was much better than other countries. So that is where I learned all of my goalkeeping and my latex, more latex knowledge than I really need to know.
Well, what's the name of the brand? Keep Air.
Keep Air. It's K-E-E-P like keeper, and then Dennis, my partner, A-E-R-E.
Okay.
Very minimal, very clean. That's probably my favorite product we sold. But Rachel gave me the opportunity to speak to someone and get opinions on large social media campaigns, where this is where I actually saw my first limiting factor belief destroyed. Because so my mother works at the front office in a dental facility. My dad is an air conditioning HVAC kind of guy, and so I was destined. Honestly, I had maybe a career of like $50,000 to $60,000 salary, right? Like I was going that way. We never really were. Although living in Orange County, like it's a more well-off area, but you can be not well off in a well-off area, which makes it seem much worse than it really is. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. So how did you overcome your limit? That's a huge mountain to cross over right in front of you, and very few make it to the top and then come to the other side, in one piece. So how did you in the corridors of corporate America? We're talking PepsiCo. It can't get any bigger than that. These are we don't call them FTSE. These are Fortune 500 companies. How did you gain that confidence to say, okay, this is my path. This is where I want to go?
Honestly, I think I still live with a little bit of like that imposter syndrome, because us as media buyers, the transition of like, how did soccer help media buying? Well, in soccer, professionalism, you're only as good as your last game. Like you can only go back to like your highlight. For us, it's like you're only as good as your last campaign, right? Like you're only as good as your last campaign. How did you scale? How did you set the budgets up? How did you strategize it, right? So at that time, I realized I'm only as good as my last presentation, because I wasn't running campaigns at that point. So I was having to pitch or go alongside creative agencies to support on the PepsiCo side. And what ended up happening, the real limiting belief was like, once I started seeing dollars spent in the millions on Facebook, which what took me to right next to Apple, was where I started going, okay, there's a lot of money here, and like, why not us? Like, why not me? Why not now?
All right, cool. What happened? So why did you move to Apple, and what happened in Apple?
Okay, so at PepsiCo, the issue was that we were only working on organic campaigns or like page content, and at that time I was knowing like, well, there's a paid side, like there's an ads manager that we need to get into.
Mhm.
Rachel's niece, Alazan Fulleron, was leading Apple paid social in 2016, 2017, and she was needing a team of media buyers.
Okay.
That was the time when they started making a large digital push to, and we were a part of the iPad Pro, the iPhone 7 launch, and the iWatch launch. Those were the campaigns where we're sitting there making up impressions. And I know you've been on the platform for a long time. You used to be able to do reach and frequency buys per country and start choosing like how to hit everybody there.
Yeah.
So this is when I started looking at like, okay, we're building campaigns and at this time just for Apple. We're only distributing views. So they would take the TV spot off. And this was my second venture into corporate America, hardcore corporate America, still agency structure. I learned that if you are going to spend that much money, like why not have a return? They didn't care. It was here's your budget.
It's just awareness, yeah. Reach.
They literally told me, okay, so Shaq, you're in charge of EMEA and you have a little bit of APAC. We need to make sure every campaign goes live that you hit at least the same person 3 times. So we're talking
like TV advertising, really. Yeah. Those
literally,
same metrics, the same mindsets of TV. Yeah.
Blew my mind.
Yeah.
So I lasted a year with Apple, and learning that platform for them was very different. Did
it feel like driving a Formula One car? Like a, was it very advanced in terms of like, were you straight in ads manager, or did they need you to use a third-party tool to manage, millions of ad spend?
So we had Sprinkler was the tool that we had, which was a large enterprise software. Before we had Sprinkler, we were using exports from, so our team was in office at Twitter, in office at Facebook. And at the time, Snap obviously wasn't there, but we were doing all of our campaigns on media uploads. So it would be like large media buys to make sure that we were able to get into it. So we were doing a lot of Excel upload sheets, export, import. And so we weren't even building necessary campaigns there. We would load creative, and then we'd come back and start building all of our targeting into an Excel sheet. Me and 2 other persons, it was me, Nick Marr, and Alazan. We were sitting there uploading sheets. It wasn't media buying. It was just mass distribution of ideas.
I see. And was the creatives built specifically for digital, or did they just take creatives from their other media campaigns, TV, from traditional, and just dump it in digital? Do they have a different digital strategy?
No, you said it. They literally were chopping whatever ran on TV. They repurposed for.
Okay. I see.
Which is what do you expect, right? They're going to spend the millions of dollars on these campaigns. They might as well get extra distribution on it, and it was unbelievable to be a part of.
Oh.
Go
for it. Sorry.
The second you realize, like, okay, these dollars that you're spending doesn't really matter. Like my impact on the actual campaign, what is it? It's nominal, right? Like at that point, we were truly a cog for my most iconic brand. Like I'm Apple everything, from iPhone to iPod to iPad to the computer we're using. It's my favorite. Yeah. So I realized real quick, like this was another notch in the belt check. Like, okay, Shaq, well done, brother. Keep moving on. My best friend, and this is probably what really, really changed it for me. He brought the fidget spinner to me. This was number one way I started realizing how to make my money. How to make money.
2017 or 2018?
Should be 2017.
17.
This would be the first we launched. This was our store, the store-bought one. So Fidgetly was the actual brand name.
Okay.
This is what happened is Jake Schmidt, my partner, I knew Facebook. He knew like scrappy digital marketing. He went influencer route. He goes, this is gonna be big. I was like, what is this? It's a spinning toy. This makes no sense. It's the same way a yo-yo took off, the fidget spinner took off. Yeah. The same exact thing, same exact understanding. The only difference is we were buying it for $2, selling it for 35.
Whoa.
So we sit there, and even I think on the top of my LinkedIn this was the day I realized 2 things. 1, money can be made at any time, anywhere, with any idea. And 2, I will never do customer service and product development.
Mm.
Why? Yeah, I know. I was like, there it goes. So growing a business, and I think you could probably relate to this as well.
Yeah.
You end up loving two aspects, right? You end up loving building the structure of the company, end up loving the organization, or you love scaling it and figuring out the online part, right?
Yeah.
That is where I found myself. Jake goes product development and organization. I go marketing strategy.
Yeah.
So when I sit here, I go
customer services. Yeah, it's necessary, but that's where all the complaints occur. It's backside of the business, literally, but, yeah, metaphorically rather.
No, and think about it. When you're selling fidget spinners to 14-year-olds and 13-year-olds, you're not getting general inquiries about why my product doesn't work. You're going like, how come it doesn't spin faster? How come it makes this noise? Can you imagine? Like, you can only imagine. And unfortunately or fortunately, we used a couple of angles to scale that weren't at the time. In hindsight, I understand why it was something you should not have said. But we were saying this product will cure your ADHD.
Well, okay.
This product will cure your ADD. And
so you turned it to a painkiller straight up.
and this is me going like, how do I research digital marketing? What was working? This was like acai berry. This was like supplement selling. The digital marketing true guys that were scaling across of claims, right? And I thought this was the right thing or right way to go because I was very new into this performance marketing world. And
was it worldwide, or was it the US, the fidget spinner?
No, so we were retail US, but I think the trend affected worldwide. I think this was probably the largest trend in the world at that time.
Yeah. I remember my son saying, "Daddy, I need a fidget spinner." He was in elementary school or something. He was in primary school, but he was like, "Daddy, I have to absolutely get a fidget." And we eventually got it for him, but like it was like it was like a storm, really.
As fast as it came is as fast as it left.
Just despaired. Like,
so,
cool.
Yeah, I'm just reminiscing on it. That was the beginning. So that led me to realize two things. One, I love being performance marketing, and two, I needed to see if I can do it again. That was the beginning of going like, did I get lucky or do I actually have some skills in this? Enter in Tim Bird.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. Klaviyo is a growth marketing platform that powers over 25,000 online businesses. Klaviyo understands every single customer interaction and empowers brands to create more personalized marketing moments. Listen, analyze, and act on your customer data with Klaviyo. Visit klaviyo.com/2x.
Enter in. So in Orange County, Tim lives in Irvine. I think he's in Newport Beach, San Diego area now. And he at the time posted an ad buyers group, and he used to do this quiz. He used to post a quiz that said, we're looking to take this Facebook media buying quiz. If you pass X, message me. I passed it. I forgot what I got. And he goes, hey Nick, come into my office. Like, let's talk. Let's see what you got. So I remember walking into his office at the time. There was like two other media buyers, Alex, John, and one that left right before me, name is Dennis. And I go in and I show them my campaigns. And the two things that he says right away is like, okay, you understand naming conventions and structure. And two, you understand the difference between cold and hot traffic. It's like, cool, like sit down, let's see if we can do more of this.
Okay.
At that, like, think about it. When you log into an account or you do an audit or you look through a brand, the first thing you say to yourself is they have no segmentation. Yeah. They have no exclusions. They have no understanding of top, middle, bottom. And you're just going down the list. Like, that's us knowing how many reps, right?
Mm-hmm.
I looked at this as an opportunity because even when people ask me today, like, how should I get started? Like, where do I get clients? What do I do? I don't say work for free, but I say work for free for a period of time or join an agency, because you just get exposed to every single industry, every single opportunity, every single business model.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in this so wholeheartedly that I did that for three people that I truly love. Three people that gave me the opportunity. First, Rachel and Alazan underneath the Pepsi and Apple structure. I consider them the same because they're very close to each other and they were same family, same methodology. Mm-hmm. Then we go to Tim. Tim, what people don't realize about him is he gets so inundated with messages and people asking him for help and assistance that he literally could spend hours. And I remember I see him, He's got a widescreen computer, and across the bottom is Facebook Messenger conversations, hundreds. So he's just responding back to us. I remember we'd have our strategy sessions. He'd give me hey, try A, B, and C. We'd launch it, report back, launch it, report back. And that's how we were aggregating info. Okay.
Can I ask a question? So pre-Tim with the fidget spinners, what kind of spend, what was the spend and what was the return and what happened to the business? So when you realized that, did you close a business because the trend, had passed?
Good question. So it's not my favorite topic to talk about, but it's important. It's really important. So if I'm looking into, I literally have the ad account open right now.
Okay. Whoa, wow.
We spent, and this is pulling me back to 2017, 2016. Yeah. 242,000.
Yeah.
4x.
Oh, well, okay.
4x.
Million straight up. Okay.
We were having conversions for $6, $2, $5. The good days.
Okay.
These are the good days.
Yeah.
What happened? What happened?
Yeah. And then AOV was 30. Was $30, $35. And I guess people were buying more than one fidget spinner.
They were, because even if you look at the Wayback Machine or archive.org under Fidgetly, we were selling them for, I think at our highest was 35 and our lowest it stayed at 27. It never changed because they were flying off you couldn't get them anymore. The number one thing that really affected us was in our inability to understand what Chinese New Year meant was we didn't know how or what the cutoffs were because we're new. We found Alibaba. From Alibaba, Jake hunted down to get the direct, what we thought was the direct distributor or the manufacturer. More middlemen than I knew existed at this time. And again, it goes back to the reasons why I hate doing product development or research or
trading companies.
Oh my gosh. So he dealt with all this. And what we knew that we needed was, we knew how to sell and make more of these, and we knew how to create content. What we didn't have was a financial backing. I live in Orange County, so LA was close. Jake was in Missouri at the time. Jake flew to LA. We met with an individual that was partnering with us and going to give us the financial access to buy more inventory and support it, right? That ended up being my first very poor decision because I ended up not understanding how cap tables work or equity distributions or.
So was it debt finance or was it equity?
It was equity.
Okay.
It was straight equity. This is something that I think was a good learning process at that time. Remember, I'm coming from professional soccer and junior corporate America, right? I don't know these plays. Yeah. Jake was 22, 21 at the time. We didn't know. So we realized real quick that we just are now an employee of our own company of a worldwide trend that we are at the leading edge of. And the individual that we elected to put in charge or navigate us pushed us into a direction that was a part of his agenda. That agenda.
How much equity did he have?
He had 52%, which
controlling. Okay.
Which took away everything. So, and his argument was, I need more so that I can give up some to get the financing. Well, what we realized was like, oh, that makes logical sense. But now it's if he's got more and he gives it to the partner that he has, now they both have more than us.
Exactly.
So harsh lesson to learn.
Okay. And then you were looking for a new beginning with Tim.
Yeah, I was looking at two things. I was looking at, can I do this again? And if I can do it again, who can I do it for? What Tim allowed me, which I believe everybody that joins our teams, is they have the ability to shine on multiple businesses and multiple channels. With Tim, I knew how to just media buy, straight media buy. Then when I entered into his team, we had the ability to make our own pages, design all of our own creative, choose the clients we want to work with. Because at the time, or even now, I mean, Facebook ad buyers group, if you're with the admin and the owner of the entire group, the deal flow doesn't stop.
Insane.
You're gonna get the first hit or first bite of the apple every single time. So there's a couple of clients that I actually still work with that I first met back then, but this is when I learned drop shipping, viral product launches.
Yeah.
Same mindset, right? Same mindset of fidget spinners. Grow as fast as you can.
And all of a sudden, like your relationship with money, you realize it's like a game. So I went through that drop shipping phase, did like 7 figures, and just it's numbers, you know, the spend, like how you just, you know, talked about $240,000, you know, dollars spend. I know you spent a lot more, you know, at Tim's place, but it's just all of a sudden it's numbers, return, CPA. How, you know, when did it become fully normal to you to manage those numbers and, you know, just manage campaigns?
So it wasn't. I still don't think it's normal, honestly. No individual should have this much money at their fingertips at any time. And my limiting belief of finances, I've always had an issue related to money, or requesting money, or evaluating my worth towards money. And when I got with Apple was when I realized money, it was infinite, because every dollar we spent was in the millions, whether it worked or didn't. You didn't have to perform or give them a return. Fidget was the first. Go, yeah, like we have too much. Fidget was our money, and so that was really sensitive, and it was every day to day, like really hurt. But if you were to ask me, like, Shaq, what makes a good media buyer? A good media buyer knows how to spend money, and in that sense, like, although that phrase is so short, what that really means is, like, they know how much they're spending, they know their KPIs of when to cut it, and they know their KPIs of when to scale it. Mm-hmm. So if you just bucket that under a good media buyer knows how to spend money, those of us in this industry are going to understand, like, oh, I get it right. He's confident spending money, and when it's ready to put the pedal to the metal, they're going to feel confident in spending it and taking the opportunity. Tim gave us the structures and strategies to build campaigns and know, like, okay, this is going to work, because nobody was doing the bid caps or the campaign structures or the accelerated delivery back then.
Those were game changers, I have to say.
And once you learn that, and once you start understanding, like, even now, what I'm preaching is like correlation analysis, understanding down funnel metrics. What is the variation between a landing page to add to cart, or cart to purchase, or click to cart? Yeah. Those are what we play with now, right?
Yeah. Structure.
And even back then, like, I still use some of the tactics of, like, okay, maybe we can squeeze out a couple more bucks if I drop a couple bids in here. And with Tim, we got access to, I mean, I don't know if you remember this, is makeup brush cleaner, magnetic eyelashes, LED lights, flame light bulb,
drop shipping, jewelry too.
I still run jewelry.
Yeah. A personalized jewelry. I saw that, and your one now is quite high end, which is, you know, high touch, and yeah, it's great. It's brilliant. Rather than, you know, all that cheap stuff from China.
No, there's a market for almost anything, and there's an angle for almost everyone. So it's up to you to find that. So
okay. So with Tim, how long were you with Tim for? And you know, I know we're really going through all of this detail, and then, you know, where are you now? What are you up to now?
Sure. So I was with Tim for a year and a half. Tim had the opportunity to take Agency Y and move into another bigger partner, which is DFO. So DFO is a network out of San Diego, a great affiliate team. And so Tim took the agency and partnered with DFO to give more structure and backbone, because his main use of acquisition or getting new customers was the masterminds, was the events. So he was able to build a network, build deal flow, and continue to talk about what was happening within his team. And I'm Orange County. I'm not moving anywhere. Like, if I'm going to move somewhere, it's going to be because I'm going to put roots down here. And so we ended up putting roots in Orange County. We have a women's clothing store just around the corner.
You do? And wow. Okay.
Physical. And this is a whole other, we're not even selling online, but I digress.
Okay.
I digress. Okay. We after Tim left, I joined on a very good team that's taught me to move away from just performance and move into branded performance, branded content, with equity building in the name, which was Common Thread Collective. Common Thread Collective is where I got to use the skills of scaling with the brands that could actually withstand the scale. Enter in Diff Eyewear, enter in Snow, enter in Pup Socks, enter in Owl, enter in all the brands that I have behind me, that all the hard work of acquiring a customer meant that they were going to stay and give you that LTV.
Okay. Let's break down the, you know, let's break down the structure here and what you're talking about in terms of, like, you know, equity. Sure. So what, you know, if a brand was to approach you today, what's your proposition to them from an equity standpoint?
Yeah, so I think I'll define the equity of what I was speaking specific to that is when you're scaling a drop shipping store, it's usually based around a single product. When you're scaling a product within a branded store, it's based around the brand, which means that they have the ability to have 2 or 3 products to continue to sell them with. And the brand equity of, like, the equity isn't related to the product, the equity is related to the brand, which means that there's more LTV available. So when we spend all of our time and energy building up a single product, you can't cross-sell or upsell or add another thing into that ecosystem. But with a brand like Diff or Snow or Pup Socks or Pods, like these people are building such a brand and a culture that the consumers that I'm working so hard to acquire should stay longer. That makes our worth as buyers or our worth as marketers more significant. And so at Common, they had the deal flow, they had the ability to bring in these brands that had A, cash to spend, B, brands to withstand, and C, founders that believed in digital marketing. So when we structure a team, or when we structure those scaling, they understand that, like, hey, we're going to build our site to perform, but we're going to keep it as attractive as possible. You ask, like, when a brand comes to us, what do I ask? I ask 3 different things. Is your product margin at least 30%? Do we have 30% to play with? Is your AOV at least $52? Do you have a conversion rate over 2%? And are you already spending money? Why the spending money isn't to say, like, we only want to work with high spenders. No, we just want to work with a proven funnel, something that is actually getting conversions.
Scale success.
Brother, you and I both know this. Like, it's not your media buyer's job to crack your brand. Like, our job, we're a microphone. You're the voice. We're here to amplify whatever's already working.
Exactly.
Right? Amen on this one. So to be completely honest, I spent a year and a half with Common, and at Common, I realized 2 different things. I'm very, very good at scaling campaigns. And as a company grows, so when I joined in there, I think there were 10 to 15 people. When I left, there were 85.
Whoa, okay.
When you grow that fast, it's very difficult to keep and work with all the same legacy products or brands, right?
Yeah.
Talk about growing a team. This is where I realized the system that we have today's a little bit different because we are remote. So we don't have the same exact structure, but it does fit. So we have a strategist, or someone that's in charge of overall direction. That strategist is supported by as many designers as needed, oftentimes 2 to 3. Those 2 to 3 designers can support, I would say, 4 to 8 brands, and you have 2 media buyers. So a strategist that leads direction, client-facing communication.
Like a project manager.
Yes, but they have to know marketing. They have to be able to know
marketing. Okay. And then how many clients does the strategist actually, manage? All clients, or a few, or 5?
So if you I define manage by understanding the strategy, the direction, and what the plan is, right? I don't need them to actually touch the knobs in the account.
Okay.
Because it's a 2 different mindset. I can't be media buying, running strategies, optimizing campaigns, and then necessarily, or it's difficult to do. And then someone jumping on the call and be like, hey, so here's exactly what this next 3 weeks are going to look like. It's a different mindset of being an account, being numbers focused versus now I could go be personable.
Yeah.
I think us as leaders of our team and agencies, like, we have this ability, but you're going to start finding, and what I'm finding as I'm hiring and looking for people, there's some that just want to be in accounts. There's some buyers that just want to, like, let me get in my paycheck. Yes. Yeah. And then you have some that are going like, oh, I want to talk about what we're doing. I want to get buy-in. Yeah. So we realized very quickly, each media buyer confidently can handle between 5 to 8 brands. 5 to 8 brands. Yeah. A lot of these are varying scales. Some brands are very low touch. How's everything going? Great job. Some are very high touch. I don't even think it's relative to how much money is being spent, because we have one brand right now doing $500,000 a month, just spending on just Facebook. And the only person that I talk to is their one internal marketing brand. He's like, how's things going this week? Good. Here's your update. So I don't think spend is relative to the amount of high touch that goes into it. I believe if you have a brand that doesn't understand the brand as much, which is why we talk about, hopefully they have some spend going, that spend equals they have an understanding of how this actually works, which we always talk about. You got to buy that data.
Exactly. And they've got to have a thick skin to go through it and understand that, like, you have to learn, you have to get the data. Exactly.
So what we understand is to make sure a client or make sure a brand owner, and I think someone in your group asked this, is like, how do you get the buy-in, or how do you communicate what is happening to a client? Well, clients need to know three things: what has happened, what is happening, and what's going to happen. If you can answer these three buckets, you're going to deal with, okay, what have you been doing so that they know that they're not on the back burner, that they know that they're not a second thought. What is currently happening so that you're able to apply the learnings, and then what's going to happen so you can give them an idea of what's down the line: spend, creative, angles, testing. So if I communicate to my team and go, like, guys, anybody that has to communicate to client, or even for me to follow, if I can keep that framework, everyone's going to be in the know, because what they don't like is being surprised. A client never wants to jump onto a call. A brand never wants to jump onto a call or get a Slack message and going like, hey guys, what are we doing next? Like, if that happens, you're already screwed.
Exactly. You have to be proactive. And so talking about like the coronavirus now, we can't sort of ignore what's going on now. How have your relationships with clients changed? How have adjustments in campaigns changed? I know it will vary from client to client, but what's fundamentally changed from a media buying standpoint?
So I'll communicate one thing that we did right and two things that we did wrong. The one thing that we did right is as soon as March began, we had initial conversations about cash flow and billing. We have costs associated. Generally speaking, they're a little bit higher and they're on percentage of spend. So when we ask them, hey, are we in a good cash position to A, spend, and B, to cover our costs? We do, us as an agency, right now, like, we're going to get past this time. It's not going to be, and this is before anything's happened. I've never gone through something like this. I wasn't around for 9/11. I was too young for 9/11. I wasn't around for 2008.com. So I knew that if I can get ahead of them and communicate, I want to be with you guys past these next 2 months. We are in a cash position where we're okay if you need to go net 60, net 90. We're okay with that, right? Because our win, we need Q4. We want to get to Q4. Now, this is before we knew that we would get some successes, some hits, which would provide us cash flow. What really hurt us was not having conversations around what was product capacity and were we going to get more shipments.
Logistics, yeah. Logistics. A lot of people are back ordering now. It's insane. It's a nightmare for some, but some have very, very, very shall I say, patient customers, and they're waiting. So what happened with that?
We had our main issue is the brands that we thought that were positioned to scale for spring and for summer. We're no longer able to get the production run for scale.
Yeah.
So the production run for scale, which means if they're depending on their ordering and their shipments or how it was coming in, we were no longer in the position to spend money, which means we were no longer in the position to earn whatever percentage of spend on that scale. Yeah. So we knew right away. And so that play was, you have two decisions. You push it till you turn it off, potentially putting yourself in a poor position, or you lower and work for efficiency. So I'm in the game for long-term. I'm in the game for making sure these relationships withstand. So we didn't push it. There's a lot of brands we didn't push. The one brand that we actually went deep on was a jewelry brand that is essentially selling memories and emotion. And right now we're going through Mother's Day, graduation, remembrance of birthdays. Like, these things don't stop. Births don't stop. So we had two very large wins. One on the Mother's Day campaign, which is still going, and graduation, as well as baby products. Yeah. People don't stop at giving birth. People aren't. And when you start realizing what works and what doesn't work, oftentimes parents are buying for themselves to look at their kid to be cute for us, right? Whereas if you're looking at and shopping apparel, which I think it rebounded this month, but apparel was difficult. Workout clothes were up and down for us. You're buying usually to look good for somebody else. Jewelry, couldn't sell any high-end jewelry. You're usually buying the jewelry to look good for someone else. So we knew those brands were going to take a hit unless we had to reframe, feel good for yourself or work for yourself. healthcare products were doing well because now
so,
we're talking.
So were you having to rewrite copy to just adjust with the times without being too in your face and too salesy? Before we kick off today's show, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Did you know that cloud-hosted e-commerce platforms like Shopify and BigCommerce do not provide automatic backups? Rewind steps in to protect Shopify and BigCommerce stores with automatic backups. Rewind is trusted by over 25,000 stores. Install Rewind and get to test it for free over 7 days. And to extend the 7-day trial to 30 days, head over to rewind.io, their website, and mention 2X eCommerce.
Overall, yes. Was it a huge shift of like launch as many new copy variations? No, it wasn't as drastic as we thought we needed to be, but we did address in times like these, or it's true, 2020 hasn't been what we expected. We danced around it, but we definitely didn't call out like work from home or stay at home, other than the glasses, blue light companies that we have. Mm-hmm. That was the only one because that actually made sense. Yeah. You're gonna be at home, and generally, if you're at home, you have two type of people: those that aren't going to work very hard, and those that are probably going to overwork because they have nothing else to do, right?
Exactly.
So we took the angles, and that was just specifically for 2 brands, and just the fact that it's blue light, and you're going to use it at your computer and your phone, and your screen time is going to pick up. That was probably the biggest shift. The loss that we also had was we create content, like we make videos. You can't shoot content. You can't book models. You can't book Airbnbs.
Yeah, true. That I want to talk to you about. So from a creative standpoint, I know you have an entire unit specific for creatives. What came? Was it like seeing pain points of customers and clients that led you to give that service, to give that solution, put that solution out? Because a lot of brands struggle with creatives. So I'd like to know your thinking behind the creative, because it's the different nuts and bolts, especially if you're arranging shoots, as you alluded to earlier. So yeah, shed a bit more light on that, please.
For sure. So we knew 2 things. So we get access to, right now we have 120 brands. Whether it's on email, whether it's on paid social, whether it's on consulting, or whether it's on search, right? Search, social. So we're sitting here going like, okay, we're having so much access to these brands, and we hired someone specifically that's A, creative, and B, understood how to do media buying on Facebook, but they want to stay more creative. We just had them analyzing all the content that's running and start producing reports that are based on creative. What ad units, what structure, what was happening top, middle, bottom of funnel. All they were doing was focusing on how much content was being made and what was working relative to each brand. That role came down to like what naming conventions we have, so that we're able to like pull the reports from within Supermetrics. Mm-hmm. That ended up going like, oh shit, like these are pretty consistent. That's a split screen. That's half face. That's text overlay. That's 4x5. Okay, this is just feed. And these things started trending up. When a client comes to us, oftentimes we do an analysis of their account. We do an analysis of the products that they have or content that they have. They usually do a data dump, and not everybody is focused on creating assets for social. They have branding, they have pictures, they have photo shoots, they have some videos, but it's not social content. Yeah, exactly. And what our job is like, somebody posted this in the group, like, do you charge people for cost, or do you charge people for content, or do you not charge for content? Figure it out into, I'd say you have to bake it into the retainer or bake it into what you're billing them, because that content that you need, whether they're going to make it for you or you're going to make it for yourself, provides the scale that you can then make it back on the paid social side. Mm-hmm. So if you aren't creating the content, or at least iterating off of what they have, you're limited on your own scale. That's your fault. You have to figure that out. So we created the brand Constant Creative, which is purely focused on creating performance creative.
So do you have a creative director there, or do you also head that bit?
No. So this is Joe. Joe Salvatore, which is who we hired just to lead this
Makes
work.
sense. Yeah.
It comes out of myself and Jake as leading direction, because we have the tests that we want to try, and we have access to the brands. Joe now has access to the brands, but before he did not have that. What people confuse is very beautiful content or things that look really good oftentimes aren't the things that always convert, right?
Exactly.
It's the old times of people going, wow, why is this ugly landing page convert better than this beautiful one? We don't know. It's because ugly usually converts better because it's easier to understand.
Functional.
Functional over fashion, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we started having our designers start creating content we basically dog food ourselves. So we had our own media buyers giving direction on the designers that we have. The designers then started making content for people that, like, hey, let me see if I can make you a couple ads, because it doesn't take us too long. So if a brand hit us up, like, hey, let me make 1 or 2 ads, send us the report you have or add me into your ad account, and I'll start looking at your metrics and see if we can beat what you currently have.
Exactly. Look at the best performing creatives, and then, just build that as your baseline and iterate. Awesome. Amazing stuff. And then what about like clients, so they have to send the products to you, and then, you figure everything out from there pretty much.
Yeah, it's really that simple. Like we right now we're a little bit limited. We don't have a studio to shoot from. So we're trying our best to rent Airbnbs.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay. Let's get a bit more technical now. There's an immense amount of, conversation and knowledge from what we're doing now. And I guess I might even have to split this episode so, people can, chunk it down a little bit. So campaign structure, what's working right now? So if I have 50K or 100K to spend per month, how would you sort of, and I've had a bit of success, and let me define my success. My success is, we're selling, say 150 units, but we want to hit 3x, we want to get to like 450 units, a day to 500 units a day. So what infrastructure would you put in place in a campaign to take us there?
I appreciate the fact that you gave me something with success. Thank you very much for that.
Yes.
You gave me my budget to play was between 50 to 100K. We're easily going to launch 4 specific prospecting campaigns. The first prospecting campaign is usually going to be structured in a dynamic creative test. The dynamic creative test is going to sit with 3 variations of your best performing creative and 2 variations of copy. So we'll create the angle. So if we can visualize it, it'll be dynamic creative test with the theme that we're trying to test. So if we'll say we're selling sheets. I use this example because I got it from memory. In our sheets, it's silver, or it's odorless, or it's washing it less. So it'd be dynamic creative test, prospecting, wash less.
Are these 60-second videos, 30-second videos, or static image?
Great question. Great question. We're staying always between 15 and 35 seconds.
All right.
I don't believe that right now 60 seconds working. We don't have a single account out of every account running with a 35 plus. We might have a couple 45s in there, but definitely not a 60-second video.
How do you explain a somewhat complex product in 35 seconds?
Okay. So each product has probably between 1 to 5 value propositions.
Okay.
If you go more than 5 value propositions, more than 3 value propositions, you're going to confuse them. And us as a media buyer, us as a marketer, we're not going to know what hook them. So each creative has to be focused upon, in my opinion, less than 3 value propositions so that you can communicate clearly why it is someone would want it.
And it should be like 10 seconds each in a 30-second reel. Yeah.
I don't know why you would want to have all your value propositions in one thing, because now you don't know what worked. Why was that? It's kind of like I do my best to stay away from stacking lookalike audiences. But back to your structure. So we have dynamic creative testing, prospecting, the angle that we're focused upon. Within that, we have oftentimes 3 to 5 ad sets. Now we're still prospecting. Those ad sets are now going to be creative test, where you're only keeping the creative the same, and you're rotating, or so you're only keeping the copy the same and rotating the creative. Again, I don't want more than 5 creatives in there, whether it's image, still, I don't have specifics on that because the brand might give us just raw still assets, or we have to make maybe 1 or 2 videos. I'm not particular on whether it's an image or a video. All I know is that I want to make sure that structure is not rotating images and videos with rotating copy.
So you keep so in one ad set you're rotating copy, and another ad set you're rotating creatives.
Correct, because on what we're learning on dynamic creative testing, you have to spend so much money, and I'm talking if we got into specifics, like depending on the AOV, we're usually trying to spend 2 to 3 times AOV to get an understanding. We won't spend 2 to 3x AOV if cart metrics are not in line with what CPA could potentially be. Like there's a formula to how we're evaluating that, but generally speaking, 2 to 3x. And on a dynamic creative test, if you have more variations, you're not gonna get real numbers on this.
Yeah.
So for us, it was like, okay, we have to isolate. You're either testing the creative or you're testing the copy. What we do is we'll then duplicate out, and there's a way of doing this. I think I'll make a video. You probably understand how to do this. You can get the post ID from the dynamic creative test, and then you keep social proof. So it's going to aggregate all of them. And then I'm starting to duplicate into what we call as a 1-day click, 1-day view, optimized for value campaign, all broad audiences. I believe right now, broad audiences are better converting than a stack or a lookalike or an interest.
So for people listening, broad audiences have no interest, just interest or no interest.
As if the interest is there, it better be 10 million plus.
All right, there you go.
It needs to be as broad as possible. 2 reasons why I like this. 1, if your product can appeal to the broad, you have scale. You have infinite scale, and you have ability to let your creative make the consumers raise their hand and elect to join on.
And you allow Facebook figure it out. You allow Facebook look for the segments in the audience that would actually just engage and convert.
Only way. And so now we have the dynamic creative test running top of funnel. Then we duplicated out our best performers into a 1-day click, 1-day view value campaign. I really, really don't want people doing more than 5 to 10 ad sets. There's only one time I go into a 25 ad set under a CBO, which we call it our horizontal scale. If you have the creative that works, the audience that's proven, and I don't think you're not going to be running any bids on this, but if you have the creative that works and the audience that's working in that CBO, you're doing nothing other than duplicating it 25 times and letting it run.
Yep.
Making sure that you're doing a min of relative to your budget, minimum at least $5 spent on each ad set. So some spend is getting on them, and making sure you have a cap of max so you don't overspend on that.
And these are massive audiences.
Have to be. Yeah. I think you can get away with a 1% lookalike, which is about 2 million plus. It depends on what you're spending though. Like if you're at a 50,000 or 100,000, you're going to want to have these larger audiences, because if you can spend 50 and 100, you probably have your logistics in line. You probably have product, which means you're probably set up to scale if it's possible. I never want to set up my account so that I have to cut it. I'm going through this right now. If you're setting your account up, and I want to spend 15,000, you don't set the account to spend 15,000. You set the account to spend 25,000.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to let it run all the way.
Yeah. Okay. So let's shoot. I have another question, but I'll let us shoot in this one, and then I'll just write the question down here.
Sure.
Yeah. So when you sort it out, that way, in regards to the testing, in regards to creative testing and audience testing, what does your mid funnel look like and bottom funnel look like?
Pretty straightforward. So we have, aside from dynamic product, or aside from DPAs, we call it our re-engagement and remarketing. Under re-engagement, these are all the people that have seen your video, clicked on an ad, engaged with some sort of content on Instagram or Facebook, but not been to your website. So we would call it L2 re-engagement. These people know and are familiar with something, but they haven't clicked off. So we're still excluding website traffic, and we're only allowing this, trying to show them potentially a carousel or a UGC of someone talking about the product values. That is the smallest part of our funnel, I would say middle, because of its brief engagement. Then when you get into the remarketing or down funnel, you go into L3 or L4. L3, talking about those have just been to website visitors, haven't taken action deep into cart. So it's homepage, collection page, product page, floating around there. I have some brands where we have such a large amount of like excess traffic that isn't Facebook specific that we're able to build a segmentation from just home and collection.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. Klaviyo is a growth marketing platform that powers over 25,000 online businesses. Klaviyo understands every single customer interaction and empowers brands to create more personalized marketing moments. Listen, analyze, and act on your customer data with Klaviyo. Visit klaviyo.com/2x.
And then product page, but it's few and far between. I usually just bucket home, collection, and product page together because I understand there are different clicks and they're deeper into the technical product or technical page funnel. Mm-hmm. But it's not as different as someone adding it to their cart and initiating checkout and beginning purchase. Mm-hmm. So we'll group our content and our audiences in remarketing L3 at website visitors, collection visitors, and product page visitors.
Okay. So this right below, warm because they've been on the site and interacted with you. They're very likely to convert.
Yeah, absolutely. They're very likely to get into my remark. They're very likely to get into my carts. Yeah. So we're now pushing them, and then I would say the bottom closest to the funnel would be added carts, initiates.
Okay. What about like secondary metrics? What besides like purchase? What metrics are you looking to just gauge the health of a campaign and to know you're steering towards the right direction?
Oh, all day. This is added carts or initiate checkouts. Like this is our bread and butter. I have my correlation document up right here. Is the ratio of click to cart and cart to purchase are the main things we look at. When you
does it vary from campaign to campaign, or is there a broad sheet metric there, conversion metric across the board?
Oh, good question. I don't think you can give a broad metric because the variance of niche and AOVs are so different. Like I don't think there's a set, I need to have X conversion rate or I need to have a ratio of cart to purchase. I don't have that. I don't think I'm capable of producing that, but okay. We are monitoring. You'll get, if we need to have a 1X, 2X, 3X on site, there's a certain amount, like a bandwidth of what you can get on added carts that should turn into a purchase.
Yeah. And it also mirrors in when you go to like your e-commerce, platform, when you look at your reports, you'd know you have a bad day if, typically if like you have 5% add to carts and, it's at 4% that day, it's a funnel at the end of the day, and the more there is at add to cart, the more initiate checkouts they're likely to be, and the more purchases they're likely to be.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely. Plus you have email and potentially, hopefully, you have text message.
Exactly, email capture. How serious are you with email capture?
Extremely serious. So serious that we acquired an email team, so that we didn't have to. So serious that this was probably the biggest business decision that we've ever made. Okay. That on the variable. So you and I both know on paid social, there's a variable. You have the ability to hit the moon. You have the ability to be paused. Mm-hmm. Email is so steady with predictable revenue that on average, you're getting a conversion rate on site between 2 and 5%. That means all these other people are not buying from you or purchasing from you. They better get into a welcome series. They better get into a newsletter, and they better have a cart abandonment flow. Yeah, so absolutely. We didn't even want to train anybody. We just wanted to work with the best that we could. And I can't drop the name until we're able to do like a public announcement. Okay. We acquired a team that was the best in our industry that knew paid social and knew how we can do campaigns together, because now we're having conversations going, I would like to do an e-commerce lead gen funnel that then nurtures them into trying to upsell them on the back end. There's a different value to that consumer because people that opting in for sweepstakes or something win something, but that still is valuable down the line if we're willing to get them to convert an email. That's next level, man.
Exactly. And then you can use those segments again and hit them with the same message on social. Once you have the two teams in the same room, talking to each other.
I'm not even there yet. I can't wait to be there.
It's crazy. And what about SMS? People are, they're like, you know, talking about massive conversions with SMS. I don't have huge first-hand experience, but I've spoken to you know, some e-commerce, you know, people who are killing it from SMS, especially on sales events. So it kind of picks up the slack where email open rates are not quite where they should be, and you know, they people who would have missed email just you know, pick up on the SMS right away.
So what we tell our brands is, I'm with you on this. I have first-hand experience with brands, but in activating campaigns, I don't have first-hand experience. If your demographic is used to communicating and having conversations in text message, I believe that you should be able to do it. If you're working with a demographic of those that might feel it's intrusive, it could be more damage than benefit, honestly.
Absolutely. I agree.
So, same with Messenger. Remember when Messenger came out and everyone's like, you got to build a Messenger list.
Oh, yes. And look at it now. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I digressed from you. The last part you were at was L3, L4 website visitors, you know, collection and product page visitors.
Correct. So product page visitors, those, so L2, so L3 is after they get into the funnel, that meaning they've already been to the home site, they've already been to the home, collection, and product page. Right below that is all cart metrics. So we have add to cart, initiate checkout, and then we're obviously ignoring purchases. The only two variants that we have that's unique to us, I believe, is we're building a 5-day window and then excluding 5-day and going the next 14 days. So it's—
How'd you build a 5-day window?
So for what we're finding across our brands, the first 5 days, depending on if it's a lower AOV, I would say, and I define lower AOV as an under $65, they're going to make that purchase in the first week. Facebook's optimizing for a 7-day, on average, it's like 1-day click, 7-day view, 1-day click, 28-day view. I want Facebook to get me all of my conversions within the first 5 days, because I don't think it's going to be as accurate past that. So
Makes sense. So are you adjusting this to the account level or at a campaign level, the 5-day view, the five-day view to click?
The only way, so we're not able to adjust to 5-day, but we're only available to adjust to a 7-day. I don't want to, we have 2 brands that are adjusted the actual account level to the 7-day. All it does is make our job harder, because now we have to convert, and we don't let Facebook reach into 28 days to give updates. Yeah. So some brands that have a large media mix are limiting us to click only, or are dropping us down to 7-day. That's fine. It is what it is. I believe if you're a brand growing, and you have multiple channels running, you should evaluate what 7-day click looks for you. If you're only running primarily on one channel, keep it 28. You know Facebook's driving majority of your traffic anyways. Yeah. So why we go 5 days is we're trying, and we oftentimes go for this, is the first 5 days. We want to apply some sort of promo code that the brand could actually give off on first customers. We're not doing any sort of discount code on past customers. Yeah, that's our.
And that is that disseminated via Facebook or a mix of other channels or on site?
So we, depending on if you have multi-channel play, we're only keeping that discount code on Facebook. Email newsletter would be the only one, but they usually wouldn't have got there. They usually would be getting a different promo code coming from whichever email flow they're getting. So we're keeping that code specific to Facebook.
Okay, makes sense. And then you could track it. Okay.
I will tell you one little hack that we're absolutely crushing with right now. If you have a brand that's winning at CPA, meaning like if I need $20 conversions, I'm getting $20 conversions, put it on a low budget. I'm saying like $200 to $400 range, depending what you can afford. Do an accelerated campaign, literally. And I know it might seem scary. Do an accelerated campaign at the bid. So if I need $20, put it to 18, put one at 16, and let it run. Why I believe in this right now is we're optimizing for a 1-day click, 1-day view, bid cap right below the CPA target. Days where we're spending $5,000 to $10,000 on a single campaign, and I'm looking at it holding, like having to sit on my hands, but man, it is perfect after the day ends. It runs for like 2 hours. You feel like you're about to throw up in your stomach because it's going so fast.
I have a question, because I've had good and bad with accelerated experiences. I've had good and bad experiences with accelerated, bid. what time would you start the bid? So you gave the example of $240. Say it's $500. We have to spend. Target CPA is $25. Do you look at past performances to when the shop is most active, or do you just start at midnight?
I would start at midnight. I haven't played with that just yet. We do have like, there's like the natural curve of your store. Some brands spend no money in the morning. Some brands spend a little bit more money in the morning. I haven't gotten again, like I'm like 3 weeks into winning with this right now. So
Okay.
I don't have a lot of data on it. I just have a lot of spend in a short period of time.
Okay.
We're letting it run. The day starts, accelerated is already on, let it go. If your store or you're traditionally on Facebook, if you're spending a significant amount of money early in the morning, it's going to spend along with that. If you're not going to spend a lot of money in the morning, it's generally what I'm seeing is going to spend along with the normal trajectory of your spend. We see spend spike for us for the 2 campaigns we're doing at like 8 to 12, and then you get your second hump around like 4 to 6. So those are the 2 times that we have ours taking off, but I'm not controlling it. I'm definitely not turning it on and off.
Okay. So with 10K, it'll take you all through the day. 10K.
No, it'll blow it in like 3 to 4 hours, and it's the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I like to think that people are asleep at 12 midnight. So if you fire it up at 12 midnight, it's already 4 in the morning when 10K is blown out. Where does Facebook find those customers to purchase, to convert?
Man, if I
in
knew,
the wee hours of the day.
if I knew, I've just seen. Dude, when you spend a lot of money, you start seeing things that just don't make sense in Facebook, and you're like, why does it make? And the more time you try to figure out why it doesn't make sense, the more you're just gonna realize like you don't know anything.
Amazing. Okay, we will try that. Hopefully guys are listening to this one, and we'll try that. Okay.
Lower budget. If you guys do it, please let me know how this goes, because
okay,
I feel confident in this right now.
Awesome. Thank you for giving that tip. Okay, and then what does the bottom of the funnel look like?
So if you have the ability to, well, I would say the remarketing at added cart, initiate checkouts, that is what our bottom of funnel looks like.
Okay. So you don't use catalog campaigns and
we do, but you're limited in product catalog campaign because of what they look like. Unless you're pulling in like a native image that's on whatever, if you've uploaded a lifestyle image, you're limited there. So at bottom of funnel at the cart metric, you can still run DPA because it is valuable because of how it's running, but we're going to opt for like a collection campaign running to the same audience. So you can still run DPA to your added carts initiates, but then you can run
go for it.
Collection.
Okay. Question. This one I wanted to ask a few minutes ago. It's more around like stores with 500 SKUs or more, like fashion stores with the catalog that's, seasonal, what's your approach with them? Given the fact that, they have a lot of SKUs to sell. Obviously from my drop shipping experience back in the days, I'd look for one of their top sellers and try and scale that product and all, but it's not efficient from a supply chain standpoint, managing, product management standpoint. So how would you approach creatives when, people have a collection rather than just a specific product to sell?
Yeah, this is a great question, and I'm having to deal with this right now, so it's very timely. So we have a SKU. We have two stores that have 150 to 3,000 SKUs because one's jewelry. We go each collection on dynamic ads, broad audiences. So if we have baseball collection, we have our Mother's Day collection, and graduation collection. We're already having, usually the brand's going to shoot content that are still images specifically. All these are going to run under a carousel or a collection specific campaign, collection specific ads in a campaign, because you don't necessarily have the ability to go deep on these collections because you just don't have the time. If you wanted to build so many of these SKUs, it would take you forever and you'd have millions of campaigns. You don't have that budget, right? So use the directional information you have of most pages being hit in Google Analytics, dynamic ads, broad audiences, specifically segmented by collection. So we have one campaign prospecting. It's called Dynamic Ads, Broad Audiences, Collections. Each collection is specific to.
So like a category to.
Yes, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah. Okay.
after that, you start realizing, okay, I have my broad audiences running, collection specific. You're in Shopify measuring how many products are actually being sold. And in analytics of like what page is getting as much traffic, that will allow you to support, okay, I need to build specific remarketing towards those that are hitting this collection, towards those that are hitting this product page. You can't just go out of the bag, which I think you were looking for, is like, if you have so many, what do you do? Well, you literally don't have the time or bandwidth or dollars to do all of it. 80-20 rule significantly applies here, I think.
Yeah. You just batch it out, and I like the fact that you talked about the collections, the carousels. What about like canvas ads, where you have the image or video, and then below that is like a catalog of products. Do you see that format, that ad creative format, work really well?
Yes, I see this working, not as much as collection, but not because of it doesn't work, but because we don't do it enough. So to be fully transparent, I don't think I have enough learning or confidence to speak to like whether I would work or wouldn't work. It should work because it's presenting a great video with that bottom beneath it. Okay, makes sense. And going back to the whole coronavirus thing, what kind of CPMs are you looking at now? I've seen CPMs drop from as high as $6, in spring to about $2.40, $2.50. I'm seeing less than half. Obviously, intent is different, depending on the kind of product, but up until now, CPMs have still been, been a bargain, to be honest. So you're going to give me two seconds right here, and I'm going to pull up all of our accounts into ads reporting, and I'll just give a straight up answer of what I'm seeing.
Okay.
This is pulling from 100 brands.
It's an insane number of brands, Nick.
So how do
you manage that many brands? How many account managers do you have there?
I don't want to go too deep into that, but we have 7 account managers. Okay. Now, as you know, most of these brands, not all of them, are
actively spending.
Right, like they're not all pushing. They all need the attention, but more often than now, before I believe that there was a lot of optimization needed on a day-to-day day trading structure and style. I don't believe that is what is needed nowadays.
I've noticed that.
Unless you're going like, the client's very demanding, the product is very demanding. There's a handful of reasons why that brand might need to do all that changes.
Yeah.
Not right now. I don't believe it. So let me CPMs across all accounts. I'll share my screen for you. Is that okay if I share screen?
Yeah, go for it. Even better. I should have
So this is just straight CPM.
Okay. $4.72. Wow.
Across the board, and this is some of these campaigns are running worldwide, but we have 15.
So if you put the cohort of like April 2020, last 30 days, and you compare it to last year.
Okay, so we have 444 across the board of all the accounts. So it's 101 right here.
Okay.
And let's go
to that same period, 2019, 1st to 27th of.
Ready? What's your guess?
I'm thinking 7 or thereabouts, 6, 7, maybe 8, 10.
Ooh, 737. My man was on Facebook back in the day. Well, let's play it. Let's go. Let's even go at 20.
Let's go back to 18. 18 was 18 the buggy year or last year? Can't quite remember.
Yeah, it feels like every year. 11.
Yeah, 11. Yeah. Last year was when dynamic creative started becoming a thing, and there was a lot more efficiency with.
Wow. I can't even go back to 2017.
17.
So even just month to month, right?
Yeah, this month, yeah.
What if we just did March?
March, depending on the state. Yep, it's CPMs have gone down. It's $4. And then what was it like in January?
486.
486. What did it look like in that's interesting if it's 486 in January.
Feb 6. Wow.
So January would be like, everybody's kind of like it's what would I say? It feels like a hangover from Q4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Q4 would be insane. Everybody's doing it. 8. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
But typically, so a lot of here's my theory. If you're in travel, you're no longer spending. What's the point of an airline spend? And they spend heavy, and you're talking about like price comparison sites. If you're a retailer and you're trying to bring footfall, all local businesses have stopped spending.
Yep. So
anything that's, in effect, not doing business, any sector that's not doing business is not advertising actively. So they've put the field wide open for everybody else, especially e-commerce, because if you can still fulfill and you have your COVID message there, people are just buying. And as you said, there are massive issues in regards to fulfillment and getting things in the production line. That is a challenge. And those brands who are able to deliver or who have patient customer basis, they're going to win. Because I know I've been buying stuff, as in DHL guy has been coming to my door, Royal Mob has been coming every day, but either my stuff or my wife's stuff. And Amazon is not as efficient as it used to be. You can't do next day delivery. It's hit or miss really with Amazon.
Yeah.
And they stopped allowing goods coming through their fulfillment center. That's a non-essential, although they might have changed that by now. So it's a massive opportunity, and we're hoping that when people get into this habit of buying e-commerce, it retains itself. Because if you remember, in 2008, with the 2003, I think, with the SARS epidemic, China was, the same thing happened to China. Everybody was home and nothing could happen, and that was a turning point for Alibaba. And the rest is history, and e-commerce in general in China. So we're hoping that e-commerce in the West, in the US, and Europe will just blow up, in the next year or so, based on this solid foundation we have.
You are so spot on. And then there's a part 2 and 3 of this that I've been wanting to discuss with someone. I know you're going to have a great opinion on this. So you have the majority of consumers usually buying from Amazon. You just touched upon it. These Amazon, Walmart, Target, like these consumers are where a lot of majority of e-commerce revenue comes from.
Yeah.
Well, if they're not selling, so specifically Amazon, I don't think Walmart's doing it. If they're only selling essentials or essential plus, we're seeing our brands getting an influx of the buyers that would else buy their product on Amazon coming back to the store.
Yeah. So the intent is then, there right now.
At least they don't want to go to Amazon because they can't get what they want.
No.
Then you have, I gotta stick on. I'm so passionate about this one right here. Yeah, then you have, and I'll speak to specific in American. I wonder how you feel about this. You have a large cohort of consumers that are jumping online that were once going into churches and synagogues, and they were doing donations with cash and check. I'm a practicing Catholic. My mother is very religious as well. She's having to watch and donate online. Yeah. You have a whole new consumer set that is taking out their wallet, potentially for the first time, feeling comfortable spending as they watch.
Online. They don't have a choice now.
They don't have a choice. They have to put their money in to get their groceries or buy a gift for their daughter that they else would go get in the store. Exactly. So you have this large influx of consumers that you can't plan for. They were never planned for, and they were shaken at their core to actually now take action on something that they were like, I'm not putting my credit card online anymore.
No.
No one's speaking about that right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And Yeah, and we don't know how long this is going to last for. If it lasts for a quarter, you know, it takes about 6 days for a habit to set in very well. You know, on average,
Right.
some more complex habits take longer. And if this goes on for more than a quarter, we are going to get a fresh breed beyond millennials, Gen X, and Gen Ys, who will be very receptive
Yes.
to online purchase, and not just from Amazon, but from new brands. There's a massive opportunity. And even if you can't sell now, I had Jake Cohen from Klaviyo.com on the show, and it's
Yes.
like, just focus on getting emails, focus on getting, mobile phone numbers, and start to nurture them. Even if like you're not in a position to transact right now, your email collection should be massively on point, and keep engaging with these people, because this is just a new opportunity for e-commerce, essentially. And if things do change, as they're likely to change, moving forward, people, if I don't know whether you've seen any videos from Wuhan, where people are not going to restaurants despite the lockdown being eased off. People are just not comfortable going to restaurants. They're a lot more orders online for food to homes, and it's a big problem for restaurants now.
Yeah.
And people are not going to shops that much. People just there'll be that incubation period where people don't want to, even if you give them the freedom, they're very cautious because they care about their health.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You have two people. You have those that want to get out and go to the gym and do everything, and you have those going like, no, I don't know. It's uncertain for me.
Exactly. There's a brilliant article on habits. It's by the author of Choice Factory, Richard Shotton, I think. I'll send a link to you on that. And
Yeah,
it's around like buying habits changing, and how when there's significant, that we're creatures of habits generally in general. And when a significant event, this is based on data. So they surveyed 1,000 people initially, then 2,500 people initially, and it was the same result.
wow.
When major events occur in people's lives, say you have a child, you get married, you just graduated, you have a new job, you change country, you're likely to change certain things. You're open and more receptive to changing certain things. So let's say you used to shop in a particular store. You're more likely to say, okay, since I've moved to this new place, let me try something new.
Yes.
And for us, what's happening now is a major event.
Yes.
And so habits are likely to be changed if we train people. So not spending on Facebook or not spending on advertising and not being bold, you're shooting yourself on the foot, because there's an opportunity now with lower CPMs to get people to experience your brand and hopefully get them to stick with you going forward.
Man, I have nothing to add on that. That was so well said and so well articulated. That was beautiful. That was literally how I feel about this. Even if you're not winning, there's never been a cheaper time in 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. That was.
Well,
it's 6 a.m. It's 7:34 here. We've been crushing this conversation for an hour.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to stop, bro.
Okay. Final question. I'm actually going to have to do a lightning round before I let you go. But I'm just looking at any other questions I potentially have not covered, which is okay. So, given the uncertainty now, Q4 2020, there's still a Q4. We don't know what's going to look like. What should we be doing now, Nick? From your perspective, what's the advice in your clients now, over 100 clients now, on how to prepare, on the preparedness for Q4? Because it's almost, it's a good time to start.
Yeah. So this is the perfect time to test an offer. So we nobody does this enough, and they think like, oh, a big holiday is coming. What's our discount, right? That might not always be the best play to go. A site-wide isn't always the decision to make. So what we have coming up, I would look through we have Mother's Day coming up. I think it's different in the UK. You have graduation days coming up. start thinking through what offer you can structure, whether it's a buy one, get one, whether it's spend X, get Y. These are the offers that we should be formulating and testing now when it's so cheap to get real understanding and learnings. So that way we can at least somehow build a model of what we could expect conversion rate wise and potential revenue for Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Makes sense.
I really want my brands testing what offer they can get up here. Second, your Clavio man said it. If you're not having an email pop or if you're not having any sort of nurturing flow, that is extremely important. We're acquiring some leads, and I don't know, again, I can't speak to the quality of them because it's very early and we've been only running for about a month and a half, for as low as 45 cents to 35 cents in the States.
How are you doing that?
It's straight lead gen opt-in form.
On Facebook, not on site.
On Facebook. The second test that we have going live is just a landing page, just a straight Insta page for capturing email, which puts them into the same Clavio flow. So again, it isn't as strategic and as perfect as I would want it to, but we know if we can amass this as cost effective, I'd be very shocked in our ability to not monetize.
Would you do lead capture for like apparel?
Say that last part, lead capture for.
Would you do it for clothing and apparel? You know, would you still run that? Would you run an in Facebook lead gen campaign for like an apparel brand for like a female fashion brand, or is it for specific categories or specific niches?
No, it is not for specific niches. I would bucket it. So we have a baby brand, and we have a jewelry brand, and we have a bathing suit brand. 3 different flows that we're running for the bathing suit. Sorry, I almost said baby suit. For the bathing suit brand, we're doing win the opportunity to be an ambassador. Okay. So if you can opt in to be an ambassador, and then we'll communicate with you through that. For the baby brand, we're doing sign up to win first year of child's clothes, which is a huge offer, which is a very, very good offer. Wow. The last one is for, what did I say? Baby. Shit.
Don't worry. So are you using these emails and putting them into, into audiences, into target audiences?
Not yet. No, we are not. We're only running this just for an email because I don't want to spend money on it if I don't think it's quality. Okay.
So how are you going to test if it's quality by from the flow they get into and the conversion rates, and then you benchmark it against, standard metrics you see?
Correct. We currently have a 6 email flow for both. And so we're doing info, offer, info, offer, info. And depending if they're taking the offer, they're exiting out of that, going in our post-purchase flow.
And you're going broad in targeting towards getting these, the leads?
No, good question. We're now, because the offer is so appealing and we want to try to do our best to not just get the sweepstakes folks, we are going as niche and as targeted as possible, going like our 1% lookalikes limited by like the interests that we want, excluding all past purchasers specifically.
Okay. Makes sense. That's super interesting. And that's something, I would love to test and the audience would love to test. We'll give you feedback.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Awesome. Nice. Thanks for that. Yeah. Okay. I think that's like the major question, as in Q4 makes or breaks a lot of businesses, and just that preparedness is like super important. Any other thing I want to talk about? We've talked about tactics. We've talked about the e-commerce space.
For Q4, Kuno, I'll tell you this though, brother. This is what we're winning as well for offers.
Okay.
Or before you launch your offer, some people make this mistake. I think I have to caveat it. Never turn off the already existing creative that are evergreen. Even if your ads during an offer aren't communicating the offer, they still have the social proof. They're still driving your clicks. The page will do a lot of that selling.
Interesting.
When you're creating, we never turn it off. We just keep it going, because then you have to turn it back on once the offer is done.
So you don't cut the budgets down. You let those keep running as is.
As is, yes. You have to let them, because if they were performing before and then you put an offer on site, they should, or unless you did something very, very wrong, continue to perform, if not perform better.
Okay, makes sense.
Because they're clicking.
I've seen that for like bottom of funnel, where it really starts to, it actually performs better than any new bottom of funnel. I'm talking about like shopping campaigns, where it actually, the older ones without any offer in there actually perform much better. The ones with history, the ones that have been running for months or years, still perform better than the ones you set up with the offer.
Oh, I fully agree with them because they have historical data. They have the social proof. We can go down the list of why we believe it would work. And then when you launch that offer, launch it in a dynamic creative test. So say your offer goes live, it's going live tomorrow. Build, because you don't know what combination of copy and creative is going to work. You just do not know.
I don't run anything. I hardly run anything non-dynamic creative. I just go dynamic creative all through. You know, almost everything I do is dynamic creative. Apart from even bottom of funnel, you can even with shopping, you can tweak some settings you can actually make it dynamic now. But I just don't do much that's not dynamic. I just trust the algorithm, which
I should. Weird. I'm going to be more like you. I'm going to be like, we don't do enough bottom of funnels. So that's a really big takeaway.
Yeah. Okay. Are you ready for our lightning round? I'm going to ask you like 5-6 questions, and if you could use a single sentence to answer, yeah, it'd be swell.
Yeah, it's 7:45. I am in it. Let's go.
All right. By the way, I appreciate you turning up for 6 a.m. each morning in LA to make this. What advice would you give to yourself 5 years ago?
Don't associate yourself. Okay. Regroup. I know it's lightning round. I'll go quick.
What advice would you give to yourself 5 years ago?
Pay for mentorship.
Awesome. Okay. Very, very good one. Are you a morning person?
Extremely, yes.
What's your morning routine like?
2 cups of coffee, Twitter, email, Facebook.
Awesome. Okay. What 2 things can't you live without?
Oh, geez. My French bulldogs.
Oh, bless them.
And
how many have you got?
I have 2 of them.
Okay. All right. Boys, girls. And what's the second one?
Shanice, my partner.
Okay. All right. Bless her. Okay. What book are you currently reading?
No book. I am reading an article on the economy by, damn it, I don't know it off the tip. I'm reading an article on the economy because I'm too ignorant to it.
Okay. All right, cool. What's been your best mistake to date? By that, I mean a setback that's giving you biggest feedback.
What? Okay, do it again. Hit me again.
What's been your biggest mistake to date? By that, I mean a setback that is giving you the biggest feedback.
Oh, too short of expecting things to happen too quickly, not giving myself enough time to let the scenario play out and jumping to conclusions.
Nick, it's been an absolute pleasure having you. This has been one of the best conversations I've had in a while. Wow. And you're more than open, and thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you for your time, brother.
All right. Cheers.